Thank you, Margaret. Let us share the screen. Okay. Well, welcome. Good morning to everybody. And let's get down to it. So just as a reminder, here's our schedule. We got today, we got next week.
Steve, there's a big echo.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, there's an echo.
Okay. Try to make the best of it. I have no idea what to do. Try to turn your sound down or something. Sorry, I know what to do here. Okay, I'll try to speak lower. No class in 2 weeks, but if you're available, let me know. We'll learn something outside the curriculum, but definitely relevant to the Chag or major theme. And we won't use the curriculum for the class so that people that normally come, but don't come to that class, won't miss anything. Today, we're going to learn about other forms of Jewish meditation, in particular, meditation. And we'll continue our study of conceptualization so that we can better meditate. Just for the general map of what we're doing, covered the Amida, Heat Bodadus, Ruach HaKodesh, and now we're covering mantra meditation. I'm developing additional material for each one of these, and we'll be circling back to them as time goes on. But right now, the priority is to kind of cover things, to cover each at least somewhat, so you have a big view of all the various meditation that we're using throughout the ages. Before we start with the meditation, let me give a big thanks to Marty, giving us this golden nugget from Rabbi Avigdor Miller. And this is what Rabbi Miller said. He said, is there a benefit to deep introspection? If you get the knack of using your mind as a bucket and you lower the bucket into the depth of the soul, you'll discover that there's endless wisdom in there. The longer the rope, the more deeply you can lower that bucket into your mind and draw forth precious wisdom that will go without end, the image of a Hashem. This is so relevant because how do you develop the skills? How are you able to use your mind as a bucket and go deep? It's through meditation. That's what we've been talking about for almost a solid year now. So he's describing the importance of meditation. If you have that kind of control over your mind, then you can deliberately go deep and deeper, and see what you have down there. Bhante has been talking about that at all. For example, we've gone through being able to be mind of your thoughts and feelings, and then going down deeper as he's encouraging us to go into our subconscious and be more aware of our frame of mind, our state of mind. You have to be able to have the skills to go deep. And that's exactly what Rabbi Miller is describing. And what did Rabbi Kaplan say? Rabbi Kaplan said, the deeper you go, the closer you get to God. That's exactly what Rabbi Miller is saying. So Marty, you have really done us a favor by reinforcing what we've been learning all this time. Thank you. If anybody comes across a teaching from another source, rings our bells, please send it on. Okay. Let's start with meditation. This is what Rabbi Kaplan says. So we're right here. The best known form of meditation today is mantra meditation. The word mantra is an Eastern term to mean a word or phrase that is repeated over and over as a meditative exercise. And many type Eastern meditation, mantra meditation is central exercise, and that forms virtually the entire basis of transcendental meditation. So obviously, Rabbi Kaplan was around 70s, and that's when this TM business was big. I don't know if it's still big, but a lot of people even today are aware of it. Since there is no adequate generic Western term for this type of meditation, I actually use the Eastern term mantra, which kind of drives home the point we've been saying, which is that meditation is meditation. And that we Jews might have a different word for it than the Hindus or the Buddhists or the Sufis, but we're all doing the same kind of thing. One immediate effect of meditation is to relax the body. And this form of meditation, it seems that the more the body relaxes, the more active the mind becomes. It is as if energy is released by the body, which can be used by the mind. That's a really interesting point. Why? Because when your body tense, it stores energy. So when we talk when we state at the end of class, and I talk things like pretend your body is a hose and the water has through the hose. But if there's a kink in the hose, then the water can't go through it. So you have to mentally relax the kink or the point of tension in your body. What you're actually doing is releasing energy, because the kink or the point of tension is stored energy, and you release that. And in any case, meditation, especially using a mantra, is an excellent relaxation method. Reason, a number of psychologists developed religiously neutral forms of mantra meditation to elicit the relaxation response. And an entire system called standardized clinical meditation, or CM, has been developed to utilize this form of meditation in a clinical context. Here we have an example of psychological professionals using a time-tested, age-old spiritual practice in their work. Mantra meditation most probably works largely through habituation. If a person is in a room all day with, say, a loudly ticking clock, his mind eventually turns off the sound of the ticking. Ask anybody who lives near railroad tracks. Although he hears the ticking, it simply does not register. The person is said to have become habituated to the ticking sound, so that he no longer pays attention to it. This is an important mechanism through which the mind filters out the commonplace and allows the thing to concentrate on what is important. So we have that capability of filtering. So keep that in mind. When one repeats a mantra over and over, the mind also becomes habituated to it. Eventually, one becomes able to say it out the words registering in the conscious mind. By this time, one has formed the habit of erasing all thought from mind, reciting the mantra. It is therefore a highly effective psychological means of removing all thought from the mind. So this is very powerful. What he's basically saying is, if we repeat the mantra over and over and over again, then it becomes a repeated word in our subconscious. And I'll make reference to what I said before, that in my kung fu training, I invented a mantra, breathe, relax, smile. And that it is still part of my subconscious. So that I keep pointing to attention, it kicks in. And it's just through repetition. And in this case, it's a mantra with words of great significance to me. So my body reacts when it hears that. If it was just like pretzels, potato chips, and dip as the mantra, then you get a different reaction. Okay, but I wanted those words, my body would immediately relax and control. They seem quite mundane, non-mystical. However, the mantra does not necessarily have to be the mystical element in the meditation. The mantra can serve as a means of clearing the mind of mundane thought, leaving it open to other transcendental experiences. This can be true no matter how non-mystical the mantra is. Indeed, in certain types of clinical meditation, a nonsense word can be used as the mantra. That's a really interesting point too. Because let's say your mantra is pretzels, potato chips, dip. Okay, so he's saying that if you keep repeating that to yourself, repeating that to yourself, what's happening is your awareness is becoming focused on the mantra to the exclusion of the other stuff. You have successfully put at bay all the other clutter stuff that's going on in your mind. Okay. But now he says, nevertheless, if the mantra has spiritual power in its own right, and not only clears the mind of mundane thought, it also puts the meditator into a special spiritual space. The form of the mantra can be extremely important. It wishes to accomplish specific spiritual goal in one's meditation. So there's two benefits, two effects here. One is by repeating the mantra, you are strengthening your focus and you're removing clutter in your mind so that you're able to just pay attention to just the mantra. That clearing is itself good. Why? Because it's to relax and you're not agitated by all of the stuff coming up all the time. But in addition, if the mantra itself has significance, and it allows you to elevate your consciousness. Now, when I said earlier about my mantra, that was for a very specific function, being able to get my body to relax under intense stress and strain. But the important thing that the words had meaning to me subconsciously, and my body reacted. Okay. So what happens if you use very special words that have high levels of meaning? Okay, what he's basically saying is that you can elevate your consciousness because of the impact that it's having on you. Although mantra meditation is not the most typical Jewish form of meditation, it is one of the simplest. As in general meditation, it consists in repeating a word or a phrase over and over, usually for a period of half an hour each day. Okay. So now this is called the prescription meditation. He's prescribing a specific time length to do this. So that answers the question I'm sure people had already, which is, if I want to gain benefits, how long do I have to do this? Half an hour is a long time if you're not used to it, but that's what he's saying. So does that mean it's a half or nothing? No. It means just start with 5 minutes, and then next week go to 10 minutes, or wherever you can gradually increase your time duration for doing it, or feel really confident, give it a shot. Give it 30 minutes and see what you do it. And here's something else that's important to know. The most important element of the meditation is that it be done daily, and that there be commitment to continue practice for a period at least a month. It usually takes between 3 and 40 days for the results of this type of meditation to become manifest. That actually is a standard benchmark. And a lot of these personal growth and self-development methodologies that you'll come with, they say it takes a month or so to get it under your belt. Here, it takes a month or so to get in the groove of being able to say a mantra for 30 minutes and for it to get part of your system. Okay. There appear to be references to meditation even in the Bible. On the basis of philosophical analysis, it seems that the Hebrew Hagah denotes a kind of meditation which a word or sound is repeated over and over. So again, part of his research method was to understand how different words are used in text, commentary. Look at the text of the usage of those words, derive meaning from that. That's that's my favorites, and I think it's powerful. And you'll see that some of the best commentators on text use this method. One of the best I've come across is Menachem Leibtag. Okay. The great Hebrew linguist David Kimchi, he's from the 12th century, writes that the word Hagah denotes a sound or a thought that is repeated like the cooing of a dove or the growling of a lion. Nevertheless, the biblical references to this type of meditation are ambiguous and not clearly stated. All right, so as is many times the case, he's having to put together all the pieces and come up with his best guess is a biblical reference. Simply because a lot of the specific and detailed, there are not a lot of specific and detailed references clearly to meditative practice. So in cases you have to connect dots. Considering the thoroughness of his reach, I give him the benefit of the doubt. However, the earliest unambiguous reference to a mantra type of meditation is found in Hechelot Rabbatai, the primary text of Merkava mysticism dating from Talmudic times. We made a reference to this in prior classes. This seems to be the premier meditation that's in text, but it's as high as you get. So we can't spend too much time because we are not ready for all that stuff yet. The text presents a mystical name of God, which is actually a rather long phrase consisting of a number of mystical words or names. The instruction says that this phrase be repeated 120 times, again and again. That the technique is reminiscent of mantra meditation, especially some Eastern systems in which the mantra is repeated for a number of times. So here, there is an actual explicit meditation, but it's a mysticism, and it's very advanced. But getting back to the point we made earlier, it shows that using certain words or phrases can have a huge impact on your consciousness and elevate you spiritually. But it brings in the point, you got to be really ready for that stuff. So that's always our caution here. You can't dive too deep here unless you're emotionally and psychologically ready for change in perception awareness. So, proceed cautiously. It is significant that in the Hechelot, mantra is seen not as an end in itself, but rather as first step in the discipline of the chariot. Again, this is a mystical discipline. Okay. Mantra was used to bring the initiate into a state of consciousness from which he traveled from chamber to chamber in the supernal worlds. Okay, so you can see how this is. So this is an example of very advanced mantra meditation that puts you in, from a better word, spiritual space where you're almost traversing space as if it was physical. You are traveling. Okay, so highfalutin stuff. For our purpose, we're focusing on the relaxation benefits, but also, as we'll get into it, there are certain words that we can use that won't send us up to the top of the Empire State Building. They'll get us a few floors up, and that's all we need right now. Okay. Thus, rather than define the state of consciousness, the mantra brought the individual into the stage of the meditative state, from which you could use other techniques to progress further. So imagine how sophisticated that is. So as you advance in your meditation, you would use a certain word to get to the first floor, let's say. You've achieved the first floor of consciousness, as raised consciousness. You're there, you're aware that you're there, and then you're going to use another word as established to be able to get you to the second floor. Imagine that. So you've elevated consciousness, you're mindful of being elevated, and you're actually going to make an act of a decision to get to the next step. That's remarkable. In later Kabbalistic schools, it appears that biblical verses or selections from the Talmud or Zohar would be used as mantras. In 16th century Sfat, for example, there is mention of a technique known as Gerushin, which appears to consist in repeating a biblical verse over and over as a sort of mantra. Besides bringing the meditator into a higher state of consciousness, the purpose of this technique was to provide him deeper insight in the verse itself. As he repeated the verse, it would eventually appear as if the verse itself was telling the initiate its meaning. Rather than studying or analyzing the verse, the meditator would then be communing with it. Again, really advanced stuff, but what does it tell us? That's yet another benefit of the mantra meditation. The first one is relaxes you, releases the tension energy. Second one is that it clears the clutter. Okay. The third one is that if it's a phrase word that has a significant meaning, it can elevate your consciousness. And here, if it's like a biblical verse, if you're advanced in it, you can get insight into the actual meaning of the verse. It's not that just that it helps you raise your consciousness. If it was Breshit bara Elokim et Hashemayim et haaretz, that's at the beginning of the creation story, you would get a better understanding of what that verse means. You get another benefit. Okay. So you can see the power of this type of meditation. Let me see this. Okay. In later Kabbalistic schools, it appears that biblical verses or, wait a minute, already got started about this, already did. This concept is even more quickly illustrated as a technique used by Rabbi Joseph of Cairo. He lived in the 19th century. Instead of using a biblical verse, this technique made use of a selection from the Mishnah, the earliest portion of the Talmud, completed around 200 Common Era. A portion of the Mishnah a particular paragraph or a Mishnah itself would be repeated as a mantra, leading to a state of consciousness in which a Magid, an angelic being associated with the Mishnah, would speak to the meditator. Again, the meditator would gain deep insights, not from seeing or analyzing the Mishnah, but by experiencing its spiritual essence. To continue on that point, it is significant that there may be an allusion to in the Talmud itself, that the Talmud speaks of viewing a Mishnah and says, repeating one's Mishnah 100 times is not the same as repeating it 101 times. There may be an allusion to this teaching that even in Talmud times, the Mishnah was used as a mantra. So what he's saying? He's saying this hashkafa, the worldview, holds that the people that wrote the Mishnah being like a set of teachings from which we derive laws, were so elevated that they were able to create teachings that were accompanied by some kind of spiritual being, that the spiritual quality of these teachings was such that it brought into play some kind of spiritual being, which he's calling a Magid. And we know Magid from another sense, like a storyteller. Magid, legendary character. So, and in this case, the same word is being described as spiritual storyteller or a spiritual teacher. And that it uses Mishnah in Mishnah meditation would help you commune with this spiritual teacher. A spiritual teacher would some level communicate to you insights. You'd learn, you'd have a session with a spiritual being, and you would therefore experience the essence of the Mishnah. Okay, so again, just to broaden our view of this, you can see how immensely powerful this is, this mantra meditation, and that this is quite potent if you're ready. We'll finish up on this section here. There's also evidence that the Ari, Rabbi Isaac Leah, made use of a similar technique with the Zohar. Unlike the Kabbalists of his time, who analyzed the Zohar and tried to probe its mysteries intellectually, the Ari probed its depth by means of a meditative technique. Judging by the description of his technique, he seems to have used short selection of the Zohar as a mantra. Repeating it over and over until its meaning became clear. The Ari describes this experience by saying that the Zohar spoke to him. Now, for this point, I will tell you something very interesting. In martial art, I'm sure in many other disciplines, many other athletics, repetition is key. You have to keep doing it, trying to prove it, keep doing it, trying to prove it, keep doing it, trying to prove, keep doing it, trying to prove, keep doing it, trying to prove. And it's not untypical to hear somebody say, the form spoke to me, meaning you're learning a certain form, a certain set of motions, movements, and comes part of your body memory. That's the goal of it. You want your body to remember it, so that if you're ever tested, or you have a need for practical application, it just comes out of you. It's in your system. Like he's saying, it becomes part of you over and over and over again, and become so familiar with that you almost think objectively, the form speaks to me. I got an attraction to it. That's kind of what he's talking about. You're not analyzing it. To quote Bhante says, you're thinking about it conceptually. You're thinking about it viscerally, or you're relating to it viscerally. And just one example, in any training, you're showing a whole variety of moves. In some schools, martial arts, there's too much. So what do you become a master of 450 moves? No. How do you choose ones that are few, the ones that speak to you, meaning the ones you can relate to, the ones that your body says, I like that. Good, let's make that work. So you can see that you're relating to, in this case, the form, in martial sense, the form or the move with your body. Your body says, your body commits to it. That's kind of like what Maria is talking about here. So rather than conceptually analyze Mishnah or as a portion of the Zohar, he basically repeating and letting his relating to it viscerally. That's really cool stuff. Okay, so let's see what Bhante has to teach us a little bit further here. Next week, we're going to pick up with the Reb Nachman. Okay. Trying to keep my voice down to this echo thing. I'm not sure what had happened. I stopped signing in, so I'll sort that. Okay. Bhante, speaking of conceptualization, what does he have to say about that? Conceptualization is an insidiously clever process. It creeps into your experience and it simply takes over. You know, people say, he's really anal and analytical. Yeah, that's everybody. So many people do this, some more than others. That's what we're talking about. When you hear sound in meditation, pay bare attention to the experience of hearing. That and that only. What? Okay. What's really happening is utterly simple that we can do miss it all together. Oh, he's saying, I see what he's saying. So instead of focusing on the sound, you're focusing on the fact that, I heard a sound, but they're moving on. Okay. Sound waves are striking the ear in a certain unique pattern. Those waves are being translated into electrical impulses within the brain, and those pulses present a sound pattern to consciousness. That is all. No pictures, no mind movies, no concept, no interior dialogues about the question, just noise. Reality is elegantly simple and unadorned. When you hear a sound, be mindful of the process of hearing. Everything else is just added chatter. Drop it. This same rule applies to every sensation, every emotion, every experience you may have. Look closely at your own experience. Dig down through the layers of mental bric-a-brac and see what is really there. You will be amazed at how simple it is and how beautiful. How interesting and how important. He's basically saying, on the one hand, if you're meditating and you hear a boom. So what's that? I heard a boom. Let's move on back to the focal point. And as opposed to conceptualizing, as opposed to ask yourself all these questions, all wondering what's going on, blah, 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 blah. No, let's let it pass. So then he's saying, now what your daily experience. Imagine if you were able to do, somebody says or does something, and instead of reading into it all this stuff, instead of making all these assumptions of like, if I correctly, no, just this person did. That's what the person said, flat out, and then just appreciate it as it is. And then you can take it there if needed, but you don't add all this stuff automatically. That's very good advice for maintaining, for being cool, calm, and collected. Okay, since we've covered a lot of stuff, and I do want to meditate, we're going to stop here for next week. Okay. Okay. Let's stop sharing. Let's stop recording. All right, Margaret, can you please stop the recording?